I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ray.
And we're going to show you our favorite games to take camping or on a trip. So I thought I'd start with our campfire game. And this is over under. It's a really little box, but we like it around the campfire because it's literally just a deck of cards. And you get to ask yourself what, you pick one of the ones to ask, and the group decides what the answer is, and you decide if they're over or under. Really simple. You don't have to know a lot of trivia, but it's really fun and easy to play around the campfire.
So we also play a lot of two-player games on the road, and one of them that we use is Fox and the Force. Now, Fox and the Force is a trick-taking game. Most trick-taking games don't work well two-player. You could argue that card games like gin, rummy, and the like work really well, but they aren't trick-taking games. And both Jenny and I like trick-taking games. So Fox and the Force works really well as a way to do trick-taking with two players. My favorite is if you do too good, you lose all the points. It goes to your opponent. So you got to balance taking tricks and not taking tricks. So there's that.
Now this one is Codenames, and there's a bunch of different versions. The only problem with this is a little bit large tablescape. So it's hard to play like on a picnic table or whatever, but we do like this at the cabin because it plays a large group and it's not too big. The box isn't too big and the amount of table space is at least reasonable. It's just probably not a game you want to play outdoors.
Now, one that surprised us, that our boys like, and works pretty good, is the Minecraft card game. Now, this is another one that's a little bit of a table hog when you're talking traveling, but it works pretty well. And really all it is a card management game. You're attempting to gather the resources, just like Minecraft, and actually work into building the different materials or items. Now there's things like TNT or creepers that can mess with the system. So that's good. And it works out really well for camping. And one of the things I should point out is a lot of our camping games are really light, but that's because, and not just camping games, but traveling games, because it works better if they're light. It's much easier to handle and deal with on the road.
Now a game we really like, this is Yam Slam, and this is our version we just bought, and it's really tiny, fits really nice in a backpack, but it doesn't come with the built-in dice tray. My mother has this game in her motorhome as well, and it's bigger, but it's actually, the game itself is the dice tray, and so the middle is where you roll the dice, and that's really nice. This, if you take the lid, you can kind of use it as a dice tray, but it's not great. What's great is these work as your scorekeeping. So there's no scorekeeping. You just, at the end, everyone's got a pile of chips. And they do. And the chips are nice and heavy, good weight. They're not going to blow away in the wind. There's no cards to manage. And again, really easy. And if you know how to play poker, you already know how to play Yam Slam.
Or Yahtzee.
Yep.
Very, very similar aspects to Yahtzee. All right, so the next one, we've got these little containers that we use for them because tins and or baggies tend not to work too well. So this is different versions of Love Letter. The Batman one actually is very enjoyable, but also Letters to Santa. And we've lumped that in, and I know we're cheating a little bit here, but we've lumped that in with Lost Legacy. Now the Lost Legacy games are Love Letter again. That means really quick games, minimal cards, and you're exchanging cards back and forth with certain piles. It depends on what it is. Lost Legacy has a bit more bite than the other ones. And there's multiple different types. Like we've got Sacred Grail and Staff of Dragons and the Artifacts. All of these work really well in a small group. You can get them played quickly and you can play them again and again, but they take up no table space. It's really, there's a deck of cards in the middle. You're holding your two cards in your hand. So, I mean, that's incredibly useful for travel and quick.
Yep. Now, these are really quick. Like, we've played these on park benches while our kids are playing. And this is Zombie Dice, and this is Dino Dice. They're the same game. They're push your luck games. You just roll until you're done. If you get too many, if too many shotgun shells, or in this one, too many dinosaurs stomp on you, you're out, but how far can I push it and get as much as I can? Really the same way as Go dice and all those.
Yeah.
What is important to travel with, though, if you're going to take a game like this, is a dice tray. And this one's really nice because it's completely flat and you just snap together the edges and it becomes a dice tray. And what's really nice is this fits very nicely in a backpack.
Yep.
Or a laptop case or wherever, and you can pull it out. Now we have some other versions. My mother has one that pulls up that's hard plastic, that's more of an actual dice tower.
Yep.
And that's really nice. But this for traveling takes up no space, snaps together really quick, and it's quiet because it's padded. So like if you're in an airport, you don't feel like everyone's hearing you roll the dice, which the plastic dice towers, everyone hears them. So I would say that if you're going to travel with dice games, make sure you have some sort of dice tray for that, especially if you're not going to be playing on an actual table. As I said, we've sat on park benches and played this between us.
Airplanes too. That one works pretty good with airplanes. Now the next one is one that we've also played on park benches. And it's called Zeus on the Loose. And you can find this really inexpensively. I mean, it's all over the place. We found it at Goodwill for 99 cents. And this one is pretty simple. You've got cards with numbers on it. You're trying to build up to 100. And whoever has Zeus when somebody breaches that 100 gets the point. You spell out Zeus. The thing about Zeus on the Loose happens to be that you have God powers that bounce it back and forth. And anytime you double the number, so if somebody played a 6 before you and you play a 6 again, and you're adding these all together, you get Zeus. If you've got a God card that gives you Zeus, you take Zeus. So it's bouncing around. It's really fun. It's really quick. You don't have to go through all of Zeus. You just play it one off, and that works out pretty good. And it's helped the kids count. So there's that. But it takes up, again, no table space. You've got your hand, you've got your discard pile, and your draw pile, and that's it. So it works well.
I don't think we've ever actually finished where one of us has played Zeus, because usually we just play a couple of rounds and then we quit. But as I said, you can even consider it almost educational, which is nice. This one, if you're someone who likes Catan, this is Catan dice. And again, we've put it in one of these little containers. But this is a roll and write. And so really all you have is your pad, your dice, and you need some writing utensils. And so if Catan's a game you like and already know how to play, this is the travel version that you want. And like our 10-year-old loves this game. And it's really quick and easy, no table space, because all you really have is your pad and the dice you're passing around. So again, that's where the dice tray comes in handy. But beyond that, there's no table, there's nothing you're spreading out in front of you.
Yep. So next, we've got Rolling America. This is another roll and write. And you've got dice of different colors. And each of those dice, you're going to roll 2 at a time. Each person is going to pull out of a bag at random, roll 2 at a time. And you have to fill in spots based across the country on those colors. And once you put it in there, that's great. But now all the spaces around it need to have or be within one of the one you put there. So it could be, if you put a 4, you can have a 4, 3, or a 5 next to it. And that makes it challenging over time. There is a wild in there, and it's a really fun, quick game. My mother-in-law likes to play it fairly often. And it, again, if you've got the dice tray, really takes up little space. So
we usually actually play this sitting like at the campfire, because you don't actually need a table to play. You can just pass it. What I actually forgot to get out, and I just remembered it when you mentioned my mother, is Vegas dice. And we really like Vegas dice because, again, it's just dice and you're just doing, but the money you use in it and the things you put your dice in front of you are really heavy cardboard, and they won't blow away. So you can play them outside on a picnic table and don't feel like you're constantly losing them. And then, because I cheated and threw an extra game in there, this is Hive Pocket. Again, this is really nice. It's chunky pieces. They're not going to blow away. Now, you wouldn't probably want to play this on a slatted table like a picnic table because they might fall through, but you're not going to worry about it playing in the wind. And each of these has different powers, and you're trying to move them around. But this is just the small version of the larger game Hive, but this works really good because it's not very big. can easily fit in a backpack. You can pull it out, and you felt like you got a pretty solid game out of a very little little space.
Finally, we've got any of the card lines. We happen to have card line dinosaur here because my youngest 10-year-old is a dinosaur expert, so to speak. So this is always interesting. So timeline, card line, these have various aspects. All of them are trying to put them in order, smallest to largest, or earliest to latest, depending on whatever you choose aspect of, in this case, the dinosaurs. How much it weigh, all the way up, and how long it was. Those in are in. Works really well. I will say, and Jenny and I have argued, I'm not sure that this is the ultimate travel game because it takes up a lot of space if people start doing well. It just builds up over and over until it pretty much fills the table. You got to get creative with some of the smaller ones. But overall, it's a solid game that works really quickly, easy to travel. The tin actually, for travel, protects it pretty good. So I'd say that was where we're at. It's a good, solid game for travel.
And we have the card line ones, but there's also the timeline version. So if you're more of a history person, you want to put stuff in order of dates, you could easily get, there's like, what, 5 versions of the timeline.
Yep.
You already mentioned it?
Yep.
I wasn't listening to him. That's okay.
Hopefully
you were
normal.
listening to him.
But yeah, timeline works with dates, earliest to latest. Card line works with some aspect of the animal. So that's our travel games. They definitely always end up on the lighter side, but that's okay because if you're traveling, you're not really aiming to do TI4. So that's where we're at.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.